Hi there guys, my name is Jacob and welcome back to my channel. Now it seems in 2024 one of the most popular things to do is hate on the government and hate on every decision they make. And while I do personally believe that the government deserves criticism for a lot of the decisions they make, we do also have to be fair and give them their due when they make good decisions. So today I want to go through two things that I think the government have done a very good job with since coming into power over the last 2 months. Number one is the big push for renewable energy. Now, I know there is huge debate over the net zero policies of whether we're pushing for net zero too quickly or too slowly, and I'm sure that debate will go on and on and on for years to come. But something I am hugely passionate about is renewable energy, and I personally believe the days of oil and gas, petrol and diesel, the days are gone. The peak days of those types of energy are well behind us. And regardless of what you believe, the transition is taking place. The move over to clean energy, electrifying everything we use, that be cars, boilers, you name it. That transition is well on its way and there is no stopping it now. So we may as well get on board. And while I'm sure there will be many people pushing back on this transition, as there already is, for the next few years to come, eventually electrifying things will just be the norm. Electric cars will one day be the norm and people will forget that they ever campaigned against them in the first place. I mean, let's face it, the horse and cart had its day at one point. So did canal barges. They were used to move things around the country. They were the most popular thing to do that at one point in time. But as the horse and cart had its day, as canal barges had its day, so will the petrol and diesel car. It has had its day and it is coming to an end. And I'm very glad to see that Labour have brought back the target of ending the sale of all new petrol and diesel cars by 2030. Now, I know a lot of people seem to get confused by this and think that they won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car after 2030, but that is not what the target means. It just means the sale of brand new cars from 2030 will be banned for petrol and diesel. So everything after 2030 will be electric only. And let's face it, there has to be a cut-off point for these things. It can't go on forever. And if we're going to smoothly transition over, then, like I say, there has to be a cut-off point. And I'm very glad to see that Labour have reversed the Tories' move to push it back to 2035. Labour have now brought that back to 2030, which is where it was originally. Now back to renewable energy. There was an auction this week for new renewable energy projects, and it was announced that there was a record £1.5 billion worth of funding given towards these new projects, whether that be solar farms, wind farms or tidal projects. And this is fantastic news for UK energy. It means going forward, in the years to come, we will be able to cut our reliance on oil and gas from overseas and hopefully one day be completely self-sufficient for our energy needs. And this can only be good news for us as a country. No more relying on Russia, no more relying on Saudi oil. We will just have all the energy we need created on our own shores. If that isn't a good thing, I don't know what is. Now, I know a lot of people have been disappointed by the announcement that energy bills are going up in October. And that is because Labour said that they were going to bring bills down. But quite simply, these type of projects, the renewable energy auction, where a record amount of funding has been secured, it's these type of projects that are going to eventually bring energy bills down. And while it isn't going to happen in the short term because these projects have to be built and that takes time to bring them online, eventually these type of projects will come online. They will make us more self-sufficient and they should bring down our energy bills. So like I say, while this isn't in the short term, long term, this is only good news for us as a country. Now, moving on to my second point of what the Labour government has done right so far is how they have dealt with the riots that we saw recently. Now, I'm sure you will have seen on the news, it was everywhere. The riots that took place across the UK were some of the worst riots I have ever seen in my lifetime. And I am so glad to see that Labour have dealt with this very swiftly. Now, Yes, they went on for a couple of weeks, probably a lot longer than people wanted to see them go on for. I'm very glad to see on the news today that more than 200 people have already been jailed for their part in the riots, and there are a further 600 more cases being processed through the courts as we speak. And they won't stop there. They have already announced that they are still investigating people and sourcing more of these people that were involved in the riots. And again, this can only be a good thing. I, for one, don't want to see those type of riots happen again. The type of damage that we saw, people's homes being smashed up, businesses being burnt to the ground, hotels being set on fire, that's the type of stuff in the UK we do not want to see. And the type of people that took part in those deserve to be jailed. And I'm glad to see that Labour are cracking on with that and getting these type of people off our streets. So there we have it, guys. Those are the two things that I think the Labour government has dealt with very well so far in their first couple of months in power. Renewable energy and how they dealt with the riots. Now, I know people will be critical and say, yes, but they've not dealt with other things very well. But I guess we have to take the rough with the smooth. And it looks like the Labour government are going to be in power for quite some time. So I think we are going to have to take the positives with the negatives when they come and be happy that, there are some positives to take away. And there definitely are. Although if you keep watching the media, all they seem to talk about is the negatives. Sometimes you do have to take some time away from the news and social media, as I don't think it's that healthy for any of us. Right then, guys, I'm going to leave it there. If you enjoyed this video, please consider hitting the like button and the subscribe button. And guys, I will catch you in the next one.